What's up, everybody? It's Alex. Today, I want to give you overall context of what we got going into today. Do I think the market's going to drop, crash, consolidate? What do we think is going to happen here? And then I'm also going to give you our top three trades for the day, or at least three of our top trades for the day. So, guys, if you enjoy videos like this, make sure you drop a like before we get started, and then let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so what do we think is going to happen? You can see here we're gapping down a little, which is pretty much what we've predicted here with some of our course members. And basically what we're expecting here is you can see it's holding up here. Okay, and so what do we think is going to happen? Likely it can kind of just move up and down and up and down here for the first half of the day, but we're expecting it to start selling off in the second half of the day if it keeps this behavior up. Likely we believe we're breaking through bottom instead of breaking through tops here. Okay, so what does that make your strategy? It makes your strategy go into the day shorting the bounces. Today's a Wednesday, so you got today expiring options, so super highly profitable day. If you get your timing down, if you truly know what you're doing here, it's going to be an awesome day, especially if we get this sell-off. I'm talking about, a 20 plus point sell-off. Really, it could be 30 plus point sell-off in the last half of the day. That would be a very, very good day. You could see here a 30-point move is going to get you, how much? 4x in literally less than, I don't know, half an hour. An hour just depends how quick that sell-off is, and obviously I have to be correct on that, right? There's no guarantee here, but that is kind of what I'm expecting for the day. And you have to realize there's absolutely no credibility in that statement. Besides the fact, if you kind of trust in my intuition, right? That's a completely intuitive feeling here, that we are going to drop in the second half of the day if it decides to hold up for the first half of the day. Okay, it's not a statistical probability, nothing like that, guys. Once again, it's just an intuitive judgment, and so that's my judgment going into the day here. Okay, we had our first green day on the VIX. We had we're about to have our first green day in the dollar, right? Because yesterday the dollar got smashed. It's completely oversold here. The only last time we were this oversold back down in September. Okay, so what happened last time? We were at this exact level of oversold. Boom, we shot up in the dollar, and you're already seeing that here this morning. Look at this. Okay, dollar's up this morning, although it's crashing there a little, but nonetheless, we should possibly get a first update in the dollar. Well, I guess we just had one 2 days ago, but you get the point. It's been getting completely smashed, so we're tracking for an up move in the dollar. We'll see how that goes, right? No guarantee. Once again, intuitive judgment with a little bit of chart backing there, but I haven't really taken the time to really get this, and really look at this, you know what I mean? So anyways, that's kind of what we're expecting for the day. If the market holds up in the first half, we're expecting a sell-off and finally break through the bottom by the end of the day. If not, we're expecting it to just continue lower here today. But overall, guys, not bullish today. If you've kept track of our calls on the channel, I think we're on like a 7-day streak of nailing whether it be bullish or bearish on the market. The only time, or the only reason I know that we were wrong was because what was it, like 1 or 2 weeks ago? Remember when I made that video saying how does partying relate to trading, and you're early to the party? That's what I'm talking about. That was when we were 1 day early, and we got bearish 1 day early. But since then, I don't think we've missed a single day on understanding the overall market conditions and which way we're going, what our strategy is on the S&P. So we've done a really good job of that. That alone is worth it for you if you're just trying to get a good understanding of the markets in the morning. But anyways, now we're going to get into our top three trades for the day. I've got a couple good ones here. Okay, and so look, we kind of talked to some of our course guys about some of these trades here. Yesterday. Now, don't feel bad if you didn't, short anything overnight, but there's a lot of shorting opportunities overnight. But obviously, if you're not, certain on what you're doing, it's going to be really hard to, buy some contracts and hold them overnight, right? You really need to know what you're doing if you're doing that. So let me just walk you through some of the trades we were thinking about overnight. Was, basically shorting banks overnight. So they are gapping down slightly. And hey, you didn't really miss out on much, so you can still be shorting the bounces on banks today. And so, that's one strategy, but it's not my trade of the day for you. Okay, but that's kind of just our weak sector for the day. Banks, biotechnology could continue to sell off here. So NASDAQ can have a pullback, which it's already having. You see what I mean? So that's why, one of the main reasons why we're pretty bearish on the day overall. Okay, now this thing can bounce here, but you shouldn't really be scared of the bounces. Overall, you got a lot of downward pressure here. There's a lot of factors, a lot of reasons to be bearish here. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into our actual trades for the day. Okay, so one of our first trades we want to go over today is basically shorting the balances on Boeing, just like banks. Okay, this is another great trade where you short the balances on. Okay, so that's our first trade for the day. Next trade for the day, which could be a very, very phenomenal breakdown lower today. Square, okay, actually this might be my top trade for the day. We're looking to break through this 200 level, guys. If we can break through 200, we're tracking for a nice sizable move to the downside. It could be a quick move to the downside as well. You know, it's really held up here for a while now, so this will be a very nice play to the downside. Who knows? You can get to 190 by the end of the week, and then after that, we'll see. We'll go from there, right? We'll worry about the rest later. Let's worry about our entry and getting into the trade now. So, you know, we're just looking to really, you can still short the bounces here on Square as well, but you are getting in a little early, right? But once we break through 200 strongly, that's your real confirmation for a sizable move to the downside. So that's what we're going to be on the lookout for today. And then our third play for the day, the highly lucrative, highly popular trade, Zoom. Okay, so my intuitive judgment once again led me to be correct when I made the video. Okay, but once again, you know, I just kept changing my mind throughout the day on what exactly I wanted to do on Zoom, and so I ended up not trading it yesterday. But we were pretty much right about shorting the bounces yesterday on Zoom. Okay, and we're expecting bearish continuation into today. But what I will say about Zoom, guys, is that you'll notice here, if we go back to this example that we have that's lining up perfectly so far, based on this example, we would be expecting some kind of bullish spike out higher today in Zoom, which kind of makes sense because if you take a look at banks, right, and all these vaccine beneficiaries, right, banks obviously were a huge benefit, had a huge benefit from vaccine. Who else, right? Energy, oil, right? So all the vaccine beneficiaries, they've been rotating out of them now, right? So clearly that they had a huge spike, right? You know, travel sector as well, right? They all spiked out higher, gapped up, you know, went higher. So literally every single vaccine beneficiary, they're rotating out of it, and what are they putting it back into? Is COVID beneficiaries. Now, look, you're looking at Zoom and you're like, dude, I don't think they're rotating it back into Zoom. Okay, but for the most part, if you take a look at some of the other ones, right, we're talking about not just yesterday, right? Because when Zoom drops, which is a very big COVID beneficiary, a lot of other COVID beneficiaries are going to drop. Okay, but we're talking about like the last week, right? They've been rotating into COVID stocks, right? Like Zoom, like Peloton. Take a look at Peloton, right? Rotating into them, right? These COVID stocks that got smashed are getting bullish, and the vaccine stocks, you know, like banks and oil and energy, right? Those that went all bullish, they're turning bearish, right? So they're just rotating from these vaccine beneficiaries to the COVID beneficiaries. And so that's one reason you actually have an extra negative bearish bias towards banks today, or these you know, different stocks. But you'll see Square, guys, is not really one of those COVID stocks that's been a beneficiary. It's, you know, it's been dropping 3 days straight, right? So that's one of the weak COVID stocks that we want to take advantage of with a break below 200. Okay, but otherwise, look, with that analysis of them rotating from vaccine beneficiaries to COVID beneficiaries, then that kind of lines up nicely here with a spike out higher in Zoom today. But I'm not playing it to the call side. Why? Because I'm much more bearish overall on COVID stocks, even though currently for like the last week they've been bullish, right? And so my strategy is going to be shorting the bounce. And that brings me into our example. If you watched our video, you know this is one of our two scenarios we were tracking for in Zoom. And so this is what we got yesterday, right? Gap down, continue lower. Okay, you can see this little, you know, this little move to the upside in the pre-market. What do you get here this morning? A little move to the upside in the pre-market. Okay, it's kind of coming back down. Okay, and so this is kind of, you know, a good baseline, right? It doesn't have to behave exactly the same way, but it's something to go off of. And so, look, when it, you know, if it spikes out higher, kind of like we have a slight feeling it might do, then what we're planning on doing is waiting till the second half of the day to make our entry, just like this Microsoft example here. You'll see it's going higher for most of the day, and then it starts to break lower near the second half of the day. So that's kind of our plan. Bearish continuation going into the second half of the day for Zoom here, which is, you know, coincides nicely with this example here, right? That second half of the day it starts dropping, okay, closes there, and then goes bearish for the next days. It's exactly what you have in this Microsoft example. So basically two examples here to kind of give you a guideline on how we plan to trade it. Now understand, guys, if Zoom doesn't line up how we're planning on trading it, we just won't trade it, right? There's no reason you have to trade Zoom, but that's just my idea for it. And if it sets itself up the way I've described, that's how I plan to trade it. You understand what I'm saying? There's no need to rush any trades. You let the setups come to you. That's how you increase your chances of winning. I've always stressed that. I've always told you guys that. So that is our plan for the day on that, guys. So basically, let's recap there real quickly. We've got square puts on a break below 200. We've got zoom puts in the second half of the day, possibly if it's running up for most of the day here. But it might not even do that, right? It might just continue dropping here, right? So we'll react based on the situation. I've kind of given you the situation so you understand what I'm doing, and you can adjust accordingly and do however you want to do it, right? And then lastly, we've got Boeing puts on the bounce. Okay, so take a look at Boeing, guys. Literally, do you guys remember when was it, guys? Was it last week I got bearish on Boeing? We shorted at the open, close to the open, right? So as soon as I get bearish, the stock turns bearish. So we've been making a lot of good calls lately. Oh, and then guys, I was reading this book yesterday and I saw this interesting part where it says, here, listen to this. We are prone to blame decision makers for good decisions that worked out badly and to give them too little credit for successful moves that appear obvious only after the fact. There's clear outcome bias. So basically, once you already see something happens in your mind, just human nature, it's obvious after it already happened, but before it happened, it's not obvious. So I just want you to keep that in mind. There, just something interesting I read, in the book last night. And so look, another thing I just want to point out is sometimes we forget about some of these trades we put together. For example, FSLR is down, 8 points since we made that call, right? Snow puts are down, 40 points since we made that call. So just try not to forget, how good some of these trades we take are. Just because, a couple days pass by doesn't mean that trade wasn't, continuing to be even better there. Okay, so just want to point that out. And then lastly, though, I want to point out yesterday some of the mistakes we made. Look at this, guys. Remember how I said we need to be buying the dips in tech, which was a phenomenal call, wasn't it? Not to toot my horn too much here, right? But if you bought the dips in tech, that obviously works out extremely well. Look at the tech, surges higher 150 points yesterday. But what did I do that was a big mistake on my part is I picked bad tech stocks, okay? So look here. If you would have listened to me about buying into the zone, right, you make 312 all the way up to 317, so a 5-point move. Once again, I'm not happy with the 5-point move, but if you are, you could have easily secured profit and been happy with your day. Personally, I chased larger size moves, so I was not happy with that, and that got me into a little bit of hole where it comes down, and I had to take a smaller profit on that trade. Okay, but then what happens? It actually dips all the way down to our bottom zone here, which is a really annoying thing when it comes to executing the trade. So, all our trades, 6 for 6 this week. We've been spot on with the trade idea, what we expect, right? What is our strategy with the trade? But it doesn't mean the execution is perfect every time, so always keep that in mind, right? So look, Twilio, we wanted to buy the dip. It works, right? But not to the magnitude and extent of which we thought it could. The first time around, it actually goes lower than we expected, and then buying that dip would have been most profitable. And then Nvidia was a very good trade as well, but once again, it just dips back in, which is a very frustrating thing when executing. So look, all the trades have been great, but the execution's not always perfect, so just keep that in mind. A lot of times it comes down to knowing what you're doing, and even myself, I fall into the traps that were set yesterday. So look, guys, don't feel bad if you get any trades wrong. It's part of the game. Or don't feel bad about the execution every time. Just be happy that you get the trade right. So look, 6 for 6 so far on our trade ideas. Our calls have been, awesome. But, the more you're right, the higher chance you now have to be wrong about something. Just keep that in mind, guys. Okay, so guys, I'm guessing that this video is going to take a while to process. It should be out by hopefully 9:40, 9:45. So I'm going to go ahead and roll this out. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like if you haven't already. Make sure you subscribe if you're not. And if you want to be on our weekly trading plan, the link is down below. Hope this helps you a lot going into today. We're going to continue to steamroll on through these weeks with success, and I hope you're a part of it. And make sure you let me know how you do in the comments below if you take any trades or you have any questions. All right, make it a great day. Get after it, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.